All right, y'all see it. Back with another edition of the ATL 3 Style Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Leo G, and we're here to talk about some Atlanta sports and culture and everything else, man. So as y'all can see, look, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I got to kick it over to the man who has been missing. Seems like he's been missing for about a year, but look like he's back now. I'm hoping everything is cool. I'm hoping he's not having no technical difficulties, man, but the dude is back in the building. What is going on there, Rick Cole?
What's going on, my man Leo G? Yes, it's been some rough Fridays and Saturdays going along, my brother. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. But hey, I'm glad to be back in front of the microphone and the camera to talk about these ATL sports.
Man, absolutely, man. Glad to have you back, man. And as we were telling everybody, man, you know, life be lifing, and you know, you had a lot of stuff going on. You're a busy man. We tell everybody you're a busy man. You know, you got a lot of stuff going on. You wear a lot of hats, so you know, you gotta get in and get out when you can. So we appreciate you coming back, obviously, man. And yeah, you'll be definitely doing it as we continue to move forward and jump aside. So one person that is missing, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, is our boy Banks. He's currently missing right now. He has a lot of stuff going on, Derrico, as you know. This week is leading up to his big, you know, affair that he has going on this weekend, man. So I don't know if he's doing. I think he said something about a choreographer tonight. I don't know what that's all about, but maybe he'll join us here in a minute. Like I said, he got big things going on happening this weekend, man. So Banks might join us for this episode here in just a minute. Before we get this thing,
since he can't defend himself, I ain't gonna talk about it.
Hey man, well look, dude. Okay, well look, pull like this up, man. You know I'm big enough to say it to you in your face. So when he jumps online, I definitely question him about the choreographer and all the other stuff that he said. Yeah, the fog machine that he had to rent and the 1,000 balloons and doves and everything else that he's talking about with his parties going down. So we'll talk about that if he joins us on air. If not, we'll save that for another episode. But yeah, man, shout out to our boy Banks, who's really, really busy as well. Let's kick this thing off like we usually do. Let's talk about, you know, some partners that we like to kind of feature on this show, Derrico. This, if you've been watching us, you already know that we feature a couple of businesses. The first one we want to feature, you already know what it is. Derrico, go ahead and set this up for them. Let everybody know where they can find our boy out there on the east side.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, my boy, Mr. Johnson over here on the east side, got his company business, Eastland Woodworking Company. Like I said, if you need something like an ashtray, table, you know, whatever they're dealing with wood, holler at our boy Phil. He'll make sure he take care of you. Phil, matter of fact, I need to holler at you because I had saw some you had did to somebody that's on this show. So, you know, a brother got to say, hey, you know, we always in competition, so I can't let old boy, you know, one up me. So I feel I got to holler at you by getting
you can say who it is. It was me. Yes, it was actually a custom piece that was created by Eastland's. Yes, yeah, custom piece. You know what I'm saying? He do it all. So you know what I'm saying? If you're looking for something, man, definitely hit him up. We'll put. I always say I put the QRC code back up, but hopefully today we'll get it back up. So if you didn't get the chance to scan, and then for our audio listeners as well, I'm gonna try to get the link maybe in the audio feed, or we can get some contact information for Phil. So we can give you his information if you want to contact him that way. I know he has an Etsy page as well for Eastlands. So if you're on Etsy, I guess you can look up Eastlands Woodworking Company and you can look at some of his work over there. If you can't scan the QR code, obviously. And also, before we go, Derrico, you know I gotta do it for my boy out there, man. BEZ, our boy Bachi, man, doing it real big with the spray, man. So it's for natural hair and braids and beards and everything, you know, in between. Good product, man. Definitely just want to shout him out. Like I said, small business partner of ours, 470-222-9927. If you want to catch it, 470-222-9927. And yes, Derrico, I have not forgotten about you. I got a sample to get out your way to some people that have been inquiring about it. So yeah, we'll definitely get that out your way so they can check it out, man. Like I said, I've been rocking with it, man. And it's pretty good. Definitely want to feature, you know, the businesses, man. And if you want to be a part, you know, if you want us to feature you on the show, just hit us up via DM, hit us up on our social media pages, hit us up on Twitter, X, whatever they call it these days. or email the show as well, and we'll definitely feature you. We don't have a problem featuring you on the show. Derek, fit check and drink check before we start talking a little Atlanta sports and culture here in just a moment. Let everybody know what you got going on, man.
Hey, yesterday was the great Jackie Robinson Day in the MLB. So everybody was out there rocking that 42. So I just had to slide it on again for the show. So everybody know I'm rocking this Jackie Robinson throwback for him being the first African-American black man to enter the MLB, the Major League of Baseball. And also he was born in the great city of Cairo, GA, which is that's where I grew up, in Cairo, GA. So Jackie Robinson, shout out to you. We salute you, we applaud you, and you got your own day, and it's well worth it. I'm just sipping on a little what it is today, little Mitchell's single barrel straight rye. That's what I'm sipping on right now, and I got a backup plan over here. When I get parts, I sip on my Heineken. I'm just all over the place today.
Yeah, man.
Because it's been a minute since I've been on.
That's what's up, man. Shout out to Mr. Jackie Robinson. Like I said, on yesterday had Jackie Robinson Day. Everybody wore the 42. Also, Derek, I don't know if you knew this or not because you're not up on the game like this, but Nike dropped some limited edition 42 Nike Cortez Jackie Robinsons that are pretty decent as well. Of course, obviously they're all sold out now. You can catch them on the secondary market. I don't know how much they're going for, but they were pretty clean. And I checked them out yesterday. I wasn't in the market for shoes, so I didn't grab them. But I think this is something that Nike does every year because I remember last year that they may have put out an Air Force One 42 edition, if I'm not mistaken. But pretty clean, pretty cool on Nike's part for dropping it for, like you said, Jackie Robinson, and actually doing it big as well with that. So for me today, man, look, this is one of my favorite campaigns that the Falcons have done in the history of me being a fan of them. It's the Falcons versus all y'all slogan. We didn't get enough of this, Derek. I don't know how you felt about this, but I felt like we did not get enough of this slogan. We have a slogan that like you feel very, very some type of way about. I'll let you explain it if you want to go into detail about it. But in my opinion, this is something that we should have saw more of and got more apparel for. They only dropped this, I want to say, about 3 or 4 years ago, and that was it. I had a t-shirt on as well, but this was marketing genius, and it just went away.
I'm assuming they didn't like what everybody knew what it meant, and they trying to keep an image or profile, that corporate mentality. No, F all y'all. That's what it means. That's what it really is. That's what it is. I mean, it ain't the Falcons versus all y'all. Not really. It's a part of the plan, but that's not really what it means. It means F all y'all that don't.
Somebody had to sign off on it.
Absolutely.
Somebody had to sign off on it initially, and then what do? They backpedal and say that's a little bit too much for them. So
yeah, that's a little too risky. That's not family oriented. You can't wear that around. You can't wear that around a blank hospital.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. But listen, like I said, one of my favorite slogans, one of my favorite hat. I'm rocking it, man. And like I said, I also purchased the shirt as well, man. Tonight, listen, I had to scale it back a little bit. So you and I, we always have these, conversations off air there, Cole. We collect, we do things. So got a lot of stuff going on coming up here later on in the week. So tonight I'm kind of just giving myself a break, kind of doing a little detox. I know we're gonna go in real big this weekend for this extravaganza that's going on for Banks, and then I got some stuff going on as well this weekend. So tonight I'm just doing the straight agua, man. That's all I'm doing is got a little bit of water in my cup, throttling back, getting ready and preparing my body for this weekend, man. So that's what I got in the cup tonight on the drink check, man. So let's go ahead and get into what's up.
If I was on my laptop, on my DJ laptop, I would hit the little applause button to shout out the fact that you're doing that. But
hey man, I'm trying, dog. Like I said, I gotta like I said, get this put like this in now. We don't talk about this weekend now, because this weekend we're gonna go in. We're gonna go hard in the paint this week.
Hey, shout out to my neighbor over there across the street that kicked me out my patio because I wanted to sit outside and do the show today because I wanted to, fire one up. I was just in all big mode. But he over there want to, sound like you got a tractor dealership over there, so it's too loud, so kick me back in the house.
Hey man, it is what it is, dog. You got to pivot sometimes, man. You got to call an audible, do what you got to do. Yeah, I know sometimes folk don't want to cooperate and act right, man. But yeah, that's what's up, man. So listen, before we get into, well, let's go ahead and get into the show, man. One of the things we want to talk about, obviously, is since you were missing, one of the things you were able to do was to attend the G-Day game up there in Athens on this past weekend. Obviously, spring games here. We'll talk a little bit about that. In the past, these things have been extremely big, but now I don't know, not so much maybe. But Derrico, if you want to let everybody know, man, how the spring day game was up at UGA this past Saturday.
Well, yeah, I did attend. So we went up there with a couple of homeboys just to check it out, see what's going on. I'm gonna be honest with you. The first half it was like 3-7 or something like that, and wasn't no offense. So we had a whole conversation in the stands about our offensive coordinator still dragging his feet the first half, like he got a pull lawnmower that don't want to crank. There's another lawnmower reference from a neighbor over there. Just in case he watches the show, he'll understand what I'm talking about. But on the real tip, the atmosphere was, you're probably like 25, 30,000 people in the stands, if that. Like you were just saying, it used to be a big deal where everybody would want to come and see who has the biggest crowd during the spring game. So I don't know what happened after 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, where now the crowds are just dying down. So we didn't stay after the second half because the first half was like watching wet paint dry on the wall because our offensive coordinator, Bo, that's his name, Bo, yeah, Bo. I don't like Bobo, and it's for a reason. Do you want me to continue to talk about him, or you want to talk about what else that happened out there?
No, I'm just talking about the G-Day experience, man. If you want to go on a rant about Bobo, maybe we're going to say that for a later date. It's still really, 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 really early in the college football landscape right now, man. So, like I said, it's just G-Day, dog. It's a glorified scrimmage, brother. But yeah, carry on.
But hey, the things I want to see differently as far as our offense is concerned, just being serious. And like I said, we was having some conversations in the stands, and it just wasn't who I was with. I mean, you can hear the folks, murmuring, chattering about the offense still looking stagnant, still looking unimaginative, still looking like, we just don't have a clue. But I will say this. I guess they cranked it up after halftime because the final score ended up being like 35-17. So somewhere, somehow, points got scored. Didn't see it. They didn't broadcast it, which is another thing that's happening. Not only are people not attending, they're not even broadcasting those live on sports anymore. So at this point, like you said, they just might as well close off spring practice and just let it be, a little scrimmage, squad scrimmage, where you're doing it on the lock and key because it's not like you're going to do anything special. So at this point, I guess I'll be out next year on the spring game if they're going to do it like that.
Yeah, man. For some reason, it's just lost its luster. I don't know what gave it its luster here, like you said, several years ago. Because I know at one time, it was a thing, and then it really, really picked up steam. I don't know who actually started it or who made it a competition. I want to say that, of course, that dude, Nick Saban, that was at Alabama. I know he had broadcasted and kind of made it a big thing, and then it turned into a competition all over the SEC. I don't know how big it was in other conferences, but I do know in the SEC, like you said, they were having, packed out stadiums to see, like you said, a glorified scrimmage. But it's kind of lost its luster. And then, just with the landscape of college football in general, Derrico, with everything that's going on from NILs to just transfers and just everything else in between, I don't know if fans are just, maybe they just, I don't know. They're not into it as much as they used to be. I don't know where we're going moving forward with the landscape of college football, man, but it definitely looks different and feels different than it did a couple of years ago, and it'll definitely change here over the next couple of years. with the playoffs and NILs and everything else is constantly evolving. So, it's cool. I mean, like you said, to get out and I know you guys didn't stay for the second half, but I know a lot of fans like to get out and alumni interact with the current players after the game, get autographs and talk. That's a big thing that they like to do as well up there, man. So it's a pretty cool thing, man.
Yeah, we had a good time, chilling on the yard afterwards. I mean, I just tell you like this. I can tell you probably why some people went out there, because they were ready to get loose out there on Myers Quad. So after, we got ready to leave, it was like homecoming out there on Myers Quad. So half of UGA was out there on Myers Quad getting ready to just turn loose. I think the Divine Nine was out there doing some stuff out there, so you know what that looked like.
Derek thought he was back in college back in the late 1900s, but we ain't even gonna talk.
I told one of my boys he had went to the LSU spring practice, and I told him, I said, yeah, I bet your scenery ain't nothing like my scenery, because you over there at LSU and I'm over here in Athens, and we Bulldogs, and you over there perpetrating with your little bulldog on at the LSU spring game because you married somebody that went to LSU. So, I talk about him all the time. I told him he got a little LSU skirt on.
That's what's up. That's what's up. But yeah, man. Definitely, man. That's what's up. So look, I was you was at G-Day. I was down at Atlanta United, man. Shout out Footy Mall always. Down there at the Atlanta United tailgate, man, for the game that took on the New England Revolution, man. I talked just briefly about that game because it really sucked, to be honest with you. But the tailgate didn't disappoint, man. Beautiful day for a tailgate. Obviously, as you know, up there in Athens, it was a beautiful day for a game and, to have a good time outside, outdoor activities. And thankfully that crazy 25 million pollen count that we had like a week or so ago has disappeared, and we've now back to like some reasonable pollen numbers, even though it's still kind of tearing us up a little bit. But yeah, a beautiful day over there at Mercedes-Benz tailgating. Like I said, they had the roof open, Derek, so you missed that. Obviously, every time they know when you coming, so they keep it closed. But it was open Saturday, man. It was open Saturday.
So apparently, me and Nick Purdy wasn't there, because Nick like me, like you put that thing in there, you're supposed to show it. You're supposed to open it. You're supposed to open it 80-90% of the time, and that's not been happening. But I'm glad y'all got a chance to experience one of the rare feats of Mercedes-Benz is the roof open.
So listen, this is hilarious though. This is the hilarious part of this. Let's talk about the roof being open for just a second here, if I may. So as we know, the weather and the sun is going to do what it does, right? We know this from watching a lot of 1 o'clock Falcons games when they do have the roof open from time to time. If you're sitting in certain sections of that stadium, you're gonna catch that sun for the first half of the game, at least. So this was a 1:45-ish, 2 o'clock kickoff, something like that for Atlanta United. So our supporter section was right in line with the sun. So there were a lot of complaints coming from the supporter section saying that they were over there burning up. The sun was, tearing them up, and there was a lot of complaints from them. But I was kind of over to the side on a different level, and the sun wasn't really hitting me on that second level, but they had the AC on, and we were freezing. We were freezing up there. It was like we had to put on winter coats. We had on scarves and put the hoodie on. I was like, well, wait a minute, it's kind of cold up here. So had a mixture of climates in the stadium. So
I just don't get the constant bickering about the sun on the supporter section. I mean, how many stadiums do the supporters go to that have a roof on the stadium?
None. Absolutely none.
So I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, I don't hear that complaint when y'all go to Charlotte. I don't hear that complaint when y'all go to Nashville. I don't hear that complaint when y'all go to LA. I don't hear that complaint when you go to Miami. Like, what's the problem? Like, what's the problem? I mean, y'all gotta throw that thing out the window. I mean, I understand it's still in the sun. I mean, it's still in the sun. So you come out the sun, to go in the sun. I mean, just do what you're supposed to do, which is hydrate and stop bickering. I'm using the word bickering because I want to use another word, but I'm gonna be nice today.
Hey man, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm cool with whatever, man. You know what I mean? I've sat in the supporter section with the roof open in the sun, and like you said, man, I just roll with the punches. But I guess he do got some spoiled people, man. I don't know. I don't want to call people out, but it is what it is. Once again, shout out Footy Mob, man. Tailgate on point, man. Did our thing over there. We did drop the points, man, to New England, who, by the way, they suck. They really do. But this was a quirky game. It was a weird game. I think the rhythm right now, Derek Cole, man, as we're, several games into this season now, we knew that it was going to be a process with them trying to, get some cohesiveness and kind of gel, get, all the new moving pieces and all the new players getting together. I mean, we've seen some good things from Latte Life, obviously, man, scoring up front there, man. We've seen Miguel come back in, kind of get his way and get his footing. Some of our old favorites like Sabalo Janitse and Brooks Lennon doing their thing. But man, we just can't get it all together completely. There were some botch calls, I think, in my opinion. Well, not my opinion. They were botched. A couple of offsides. We did, have 2 goal scoring opportunities, but they were called back for whatever. And then New England got a ticky-tack goal off of a penalty in the box, which looked like the guy was actually trying to come out the box, but got fouled, and then the ref wanted to end up calling it and pointing to the spot. So just a weird game and just still trying to find a rhythm. I think it's going to come, but it's still early. But, my thing is, like, I don't want to panic. We're several games in now, man. When are we going to start seeing some of this cohesiveness? Because, as you know, Derek, our fan base is, when it comes to Atlanta United, is the standard is here. Won that championship in 2018, and we haven't really kind of, we won some more trophies since 2018, obviously, but the standard is here, obviously. And when you're not there, there's a lot of talk and chatter amongst the fan base about what needs to be done because, they.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have ran off certain coaches. I'm just gonna say it like that. I'm just gonna, throw that rock and hide my hand.
I mean, it is what it is. So. Everybody was partial to Tata, obviously, because he won, the ship here. And then we go back and have those conversations about one Frank de Boer, who actually won 2 trophies here, but they wanted him gone. Like they was ready to run him out of town. And I really didn't have a problem with Frank. Like I said, he brought the team 2 more trophies, Campiones Cup and the U.S. Open Cup. And they really didn't give him a chance after the next season. It's weird with the MLS as far as players and as far as, the DP and the cap, but you got to have some consistency, at coach as well, I think. That's just from looking at other professional sports on the outside looking in. With us in the MLS, obviously, Derek Cole, since this team is still very young and this league is still ever evolving, like, there are changes that are made all the time. But I think that, at some point you want some consistency, not only on the coaching staff, but in the front office as well. So you can kind of get the thing and have a direction and everybody can be looking down the same path, right?
I'm glad you mentioned about the front office because, I think what probably took too long was to get rid of some of the folks in the front office, which has finally happened. So I'm happy to hear, what I'm saying, that is taking place. But like you said, our fans are just impatient. I mean, when you taste victory the first 2 years of existence, I mean, I don't blame them. I don't blame us. I mean, we're not gonna be sitting here, just content with, what I'm saying, the fact that, hey, it's we want to win and want to continue to win, and that's what we expect. We expect championships.
But listen, though, Derek, yes, that's the expectation, but there still has to be a level of patience, right? Like you said, you don't give coaches a chance, you don't give certain players a chance, you have to be patient at some point. You know what I'm saying? Everything is not going to be bam, bam, bam. You know what I'm saying? You got to get players to work. You got to get things to work. Got to have cohesiveness and let people do their jobs. I think a lot of times, man, we're a microwave, society now. We want everything fast, quick, and in a hurry. And if something isn't working the way we want it to work immediately, let's scrap it and move to something else. And that, you can't do anything like that. You know what I'm saying? You got to give, a timeline of people to see if they can implement things in order to be successful. I mean, I know it was fast when Tata came in 2 years to do it. But you got to realize that was something that, caught the whole league off guard. They were able to bring in a lot of talent from South America and do some things differently that hadn't been seen in the MLS. I mean, you had, Joseph Martinez, who is one of the most prolific goal scorers in the history of this league on that team. I mean, who knew that if you would have told me that he was going to be who he was, I would have told you, yeah, right. And then, we saw what Miguel Almiron was able to do and just, how they had success. But now you got to see about piecing it all together, getting that cohesiveness back and putting out a successful product. But let me stop right now, because obviously the man with the plan, he has joined us finally, man. We get our boy Banks in here, man. I guess he was held up. So I'm gonna say this. When we started out the show, we were saying that you were missing. You got a lot of stuff going on, got your party. And I told Derrico that there was mention of, you having to pick up a fog machine and a choreographer that you had to meet with earlier. So I don't know if maybe you want to clarify.
Listen, bro, I got lots going on my plate right now, man. Almost didn't make it today. I was trying to get some issues with seating, and it's going back and forth, and I'm doing this all by myself, fellas. So I gotta make sure everyone's aligned, make sure everybody get paid, make sure, what I'm saying, it's just, it's going here, I'm going there, I'm going here, I'm going there. So it's a lot on my plate. But yeah, that's I'll just wait for the Saturday and get this over with, so I don't have to.
It sound like you about to get married there, Cole. He sound like you about to get married or something over there. What?
Hey man, he say he doing it by himself. So hey, there's a lot when you got what you call it, an extravaganza.
An extravaganza, a festival, a fiesta, a party, all letting in something, man. He said it's gonna be up. It's gonna be up. So we're gonna do it, man. We're gonna fall through there, man, and do our thing, man. And we'll let everybody know what happened. So listen, Banks, we're just gonna bring you right on in, man. We were talking a little bit about G-Day with the dogs. Derrico was up there. And obviously we were talking a little bit about Atlanta United as they dropped one this past Saturday and the expectations with this fan base. Before we get into the next topic here, Banks, just your thoughts on the impatientness, if that's even a word, just being impatient as fans. Like, yes, we had early success with Atlanta United, but don't we have to have some type of patience, man, when we try to put these things together? Or is this just the norm? Like, hell no, if it doesn't work in the first 3 games, blow it up and let's start this thing all over again, man.
It's the norm in this city. I mean, you got to understand where all the sport teams that resides here, man. No one has time to sit there and keep playing this waiting game. Yes, we even have people that pull for the Atlanta Braves who are very impatient as we speak, and they got trophies in the case. Okay, listen, when you talk about sports in Atlanta, Georgia, Falcons, Hawks, Dream, Braves, United, you got to have some kind of success, and you have to have it fast when you got these type of fans down here. When you got other cities around like Boston and Detroit and Chicago and New York who has been relishing in success for years and years on top of years, and Atlanta to sit here, if we catch lightning in a bottle and 1 or 2 years and that's it, and then we got to go to mediocrity for the next 10 years for each team. I'm not even talking about one team, I'm talking about for every last one of them. So yes, it is an impatientness. Like, they want to win now, not, let's see what happens, let's see if we can get this together. No, not with these fans down here. You're not going to tell them that. I'm just being real. I can read the room when it comes to, like, when you talk about sports in this city. Fans as a whole um, been burnt a lot in every sport, in every sport. So with the fans. I don't know if people agree with or not, but it's like you got to be successful, and you have to be successful a lot, consistently, not just 1 2 years here and 1 or 2 years there. You got to be consistent. So that's
Yeah.
why the impatience come in. That
I think that, and this is just my opinion for what it's worth. I think there are bigger expectations on certain teams than others. Obviously, I think that's a deal, and I think that I'm gonna say it. I think that because of a lot of the fan base with Atlanta United is removed from some of the other sports teams here, they have a more inflated expectation for Atlanta United, so they can kind of beat their chest and look maybe down at some of the other teams here. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. There are a lot of Atlanta United fans that do not follow any of the other teams here in this city, and their expectation of Atlanta United is to be better than, like you said, Banks, the mediocrity of some of the other teams in this city. So, I mean, it's just.
I mean, what you're saying is correct. I mean, you got Braves fans that don't mess with other teams, and you got Falcon fans that don't mess with other teams. You got diehard fans in every sport that don't mess with other teams in this city. But when it comes to the fans, the average fan that's in the city that likes all sports in Atlanta, they are the main ones that are impatient because they look around and they go to one sport to the next season to the next. And you got this city in Houston winning one. You got this city in Seattle winning one. You got this city in Miami winning one. Oh, by the way, Chicago won another one. It's all cities but Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are basically fed up with it, and they want success somewhere, anywhere. And then, like I said, if it's not now, then they're gonna harp about it.
I understand. I got it, man. So listen, we're gonna move here forward a little bit, man. We'll jump around. Hey, so shout out. I'm glad you did say something. Just want to touch on just the WNBA draft that just passed here not too long ago. You were talking about the Atlanta Dream. I know we don't get a chance to talk about them quite a bit, man. We'd love for somebody to come on and talk Dream with us. If y'all out there, we'll love to chop it up with you. I don't know if anybody. I know we drafted a guard out of South Carolina. Anybody from that program, I'm cool with. I'm cool with, somebody from that program and what Don Staley does up there in South Carolina, man. So hopefully they'll be successful. Just wanted to bring that up with the WNBA as that season is steadily approaching here. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Dream because we know, of course, Brittany Griner is here now. Like I said, just got a new guard, and we'll see what they do and all the success over there in College Park. Fellas, I think we need to take a trip over there. Well, I think there are going to be a couple of games at State Farm, obviously, because of the big names that have come into town. But then most of the games will be played over at College Park. So definitely need to check out an Atlanta Dream game. Fellas, there's a topic that I definitely want to talk about here.
That was quicker than the Braves championship parade on the Dream. You drove by.
Zoom through there. It was a drive-by on that. Drive-by. Yeah. Hey man, well listen, dude, we got a lot to move around. We got a lot to move and shake with, man. So I'm trying to get through it as I can, and I just threw that one out there. But if anybody wants to expand on their expectations of the Atlanta Dream, man, go right ahead before we move into the next topic.
I got some expectations. I finally figured out who the coach was that they just hired, because y'all knew I was saying it without saying it last year, that I think we needed a change in coach. We had too much talent on that team from last year to suck like that. So I'm glad they pulled the trigger. They got the coach from Florida Ghost Conference. Florida Golf, whatever it is, Florida Golf something. So his record is like 70 to 80% win, and he's been down there for a minute. So one thing for sure, that he's a winner. So I think that's going to change the culture here to get them young ladies. I was going to say so smart because I had a conversation with one of my boys, but I just let that slide when I said young ladies. Yes, the Atlanta Dream, I got great expectations for them this year. I like to pick up a Pow from South Carolina. She's a shooter. I don't think she had as much freedom probably as she should, just because working within the system. So I think what'll happen is she can play both ways. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to let her, guard and shoot, because I think at this point, I think we got our big and Griner. I hate that we lost Cheyenne, and it was somebody else we lost, but I think we'll be all right with the pieces that we got. So let's go Dream. And if y'all do want to go down there and watch that debacle down at State Farm, I'm game, even though it's in the middle of the week. I don't know if y'all gonna be able to do it or not. If not, then we have to do a game in College Park. And if we do that, we got to buy tickets, because I think it's only like 5,000 seats in there. So they probably already sold out.
Banks, man, any thoughts before we move forward in the show, man, about your expectations with the Atlanta Dream, brother?
Listen here. I think you got players that's coming in Atlanta Dream that's becoming a household name, and a lot of people are basically paying attention, for obvious reasons for what the league is doing, the WNBA, bringing in, the Caitlin Clarks of the world, just doing everything they can to make this a bigger sport and a bigger league. Shout outs like Derrico said to Tahina Pow Pow, from South Carolina. And shout out to the other draft we brought in. I think her name is Taylor. I'm butchering her last name. Is it Thierry or Theory from Ohio State? Welcome her as well. But this is a movement, for Atlanta Dream, ever since we had Angel McCautry, after she left, man, I think the love for the team basically went down the drain. No one really knew who was on the Dream that this, going after her. And now we bringing in Brittany, we have I feel her name escapes me. I want to call her Asia, but I can't even think of her name right now. But we brought her in, and then we got, we drafted Tahina Pow Pow. And listen, we got names now. People want to go out down there to College Park to check them out. I, for one, have a prediction. I think, before the year's up, especially if the Dream does well, they going back to State Farm. But that's just me. You know, I want, you think about College Park, you just think about the Skyhawks, and that arena. It's like a high school gym to me. But that's neither here or there. And I feel like the Dream's gonna get back to where they were, at least be respectable, and play with the best with them in this league. So yes, my expectation is moving forward. Um, basically you wanted to see ascension from where you were.
I mean, absolutely, man. Shout out to the Dream, man. So yeah, definitely get it in, man, and we'll definitely try to get a game in, fellas, and we'll try to see if we can bring someone else on to chop it up and talk with us about the Atlanta Dream. So listen, fellas, hot topic, man. I really want to talk about here because you guys know how I feel about certain things in certain situations. So I definitely wanted to kind of get this off our chest as we'll talk about the NFL draft here in just a minute if we have time, or we'll move that conversation to next week as the draft will actually be upon us on next week. But just a little NFL talk here, and I wanted to bring this topic up to kind of bounce this around with you all. So there was a podcast that was just put out here by Atlanta native Cam Newton. He does a 4for1 podcast, which is pretty entertaining. I've checked it out a couple of times, man. Had a chance to listen to it and watch it there on YouTube. But on this past episode, he actually had a special guest. His special guest was none other than the tight end of the Atlanta Falcons, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts went on the show and he had a lot to say. So talking to a former NFL player, Kyle Pitts was able to put some stuff out on the table and be able. This is the first time I think that I've actually heard Kyle Pitts say more than 6 or 7 words, obviously, and we'll discuss that here in just a moment. But he kind of talked about his role here in Atlanta, what's happened here going into his 5th year as a professional in Atlanta, and he also talked about basically how he's perceived and how he feels about it and what he plans on doing. So, fellas, first of all, let me just give you a little spiel here with what he said. They asked him a question on was he slept on here in Atlanta, and he said he felt that he was slept on. All right, so based on his performance, I don't even know where he would say that. And I know he brought up a lot of different things and talked about a lot of different variables that goes into, plays when they're run, about, whether or not the plays for him, the quarterback, the defense, all these different things about him and, why he's not, I guess, performing at the level that he would like to perform or the expectations of the fans. I just heard a lot of talk, fellas. I don't know about y'all. I heard a lot of talk. I didn't hear, what I wanted to hear. I think the expectation of being drafted, the highest tight end ever in the history of this game, number 4 overall in the draft, nobody wants to hear your circle talk about, the play and this, and and I ran a dig route and they did a go and the linebacker stepped up and then I got rubbed. He's talking to Cam like, yeah, Cam, you're a professional. The fans don't really know. I think it's nonsense, man. I really do. I was really heated with that whole conversation to the point where I almost had to turn it off because I don't think Kyle Pitts get it. Like, we don't care about all that circle talk, man. We want to know whether or not you a dog and you're going to go out there and demand getting the ball. You don't hear George Kittle. You don't hear Travis Kelce and all these other guys at that position circle talk about why they're not where they are. I don't care who's throwing you the ball, Mariota, Cousins, Penix. You got to go out there. You got to assert yourself as somebody that's going to be dependable and get the damn ball. I'm going to kick this over to you here, Derrico, man. The circle talk from Kyle Pitts on this podcast, man. What is this? What is this mess that he speaks of about the complexities of plays and offenses in the NFL and why he hadn't been as successful as us fans want him to be?
It's my least favorite adjective, verb, whatever you want to call it. Or it could be a noun. It could be pronoun, whatever you want to call it. It's called an excuse. You coming up with every excuse in the book for why you have failed as a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. You, sir, can talk about this, you can talk about that. But one thing I know, the eye in the sky don't lie. The film don't lie. You are a loafer as a former receiver. So be it, it was only high school. But I can pretty much tell you when I see somebody loafing in a route. Your routes are sorry. Your attitude is sorry. And the only reason why you're really coming out and talking now because you're in a contract year. Because you ain't said nothing for 5 years. So that tells me everything I need to know, especially after that lame-ass comment you made about basically, I just work here. Okay. So you ain't working. I can tell you that. So you don't work here. You just get paid here. And that's that. So if you got a problem with the fans dogging you out because you dog out routes, you dogged out this team, and you've been absolutely horrific, blame you, look at you, and get you right. And stop using excuses about something else because you ain't doing what you're supposed to do as a professional.
Banks, I'm about to pass it over to you here, man, but I want to piggyback on something Derrico just said, man. It is all about the fans. It is. It is. And I know Banks is going to expand on that here in just a minute, but it is all about the fans, Derrico. You can't sit up here and not acknowledge what we feel or how we feel because guess what? We put the money in your pockets. We come out there to see that sorry-ass performance every Sunday that you put on. So it is about the fans, man. And a lot of us do understand the game a lot more than you think we do. Like Derrico just said, we did play. Yeah, some of us didn't play at the highest level in the NFL, but like you said, we see laziness. We see you out there lollygagging and loafing. Okay, well, the ball might not be coming to you. You might not be the number one receiver, but you still got to go out there and run your route. You still got to do what you need to do. You still got to go out there and block, and you still got to carry yourself as a professional. You got drafted that high. We want to see big-time numbers. You need to be an elite tight end, and you're not. Fans, we matter as fans because – and I know Banks is going to talk about this as well. We could have gotten another player that could have had way more production than you. So, yes, we do matter as fans, and what we say matters. If you know, and like you said, Derrico, all this is now a publicity stunt because you're in a contract year. Well, guess what? You said that you slept on and you think you about to come out here and ball this year with Penix. Well, you better do it. Because guess what, man? That big contract that you think you want to get, you ain't going to get it here. And a lot of other teams are probably not going to give you what you want. Banks, I know you probably got a lot to say about this here because you didn't want that boy here in the first place. Tell me how you feel about the comments that he just made on the 4th and 1 podcast with Cam Newton.
Listen here, man. I have nothing to say. Y'all kind of stole my thunder when you said that he's been slept on. Only thing that's been sleep is his effort, okay? Listen, I got into it with multiple people about this man, you know, being the number 4 pick, the unicorn, if you will. He ain't never been a unicorn. He came into that draft in the wrong. I guess the perception was that he was like a savior tight end. I don't know what people thought. Okay. I mean, I watched the man play. He was in the SEC. He was good. He wasn't great. Okay. He played in Florida. Okay. Georgia saw him. He tore Georgia up. Yes, he did. But he wasn't great. It wasn't something that you have never seen before. I mean, we had a tight end here prior, you know, while he was here doing better than him. Effort wise, I'm not even talking about production. You got to want to be great. You got to want to be who you are. You got players that play on teams that are not so good. They go through like multiple quarterbacks and they still produce no matter what quarterback it is. I can't say that same thing about Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts had that rookie year with Matt Ryan, and he went, pretty good. And all of a sudden, now everyone want to blame the quarterbacks. Listen, at some point when you had Kirk Cousins, love him or hate him, he was telling people, everybody, look, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm putting the ball there. You're not getting it. So what you think is going to happen? They going to stop throwing at him. I mean, listen here. It's not. Sometimes you got to ask yourself if a quarterback doesn't want to go to a certain receiver, tight end or what have you, it's got to be a reason why. Okay, it is not because he's double team or triple team. I've seen Kyle Pitts out there single covered, and he still couldn't get the ball. Single covered, and the dude was like small, and you can't get the ball at your size. You can't outpower him and get that ball. Yeah, dude. I'm listen. The number 4 pick, absolutely not. I don't think I don't think you should draft no tight end at number 4. I don't care how good he is.
Right. Nobody's scheming for him. Nobody's scheming for him or doing anything special. They're not.
When I talk to people about when they talk about this offense and they keep saying we got a talent offense, I said name the talent, and they always want to throw in Bijan. Okay, correct call. They throw in Drake London, correct, and they say Kyle Pitts, incorrect. He's not a factor. Okay, he's not a factor of why our offense is good. Okay, if he were to sit out 5 plays in a row, I guarantee you nobody would miss him. Nobody would miss him.
You know the biggest indictment on this cat? Janu Smith was on our football team.
And that's who I was thinking about.
And he went to the Dolphins the next year and got Pro Bowl recognition as a tight end for the Miami Dolphins. If you want to get upset about anything Kyle Pitts, again, look at you, because Janu Smith is what we all was hoping that you would be consistently. But you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to show teams that he still got some juice left. He still got enough sense to understand that he has to outwork other people on that roster because he's a little older. But he went out there and put in that work. And that's what you got to do. You got to go in there and put in that work. I don't like telling people what to do, but I'm going to tell your bitch ass what to do because you trying to ego trip and trying to be sorry and blame it on the fans. No, it's you, and you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When Janu Smith was on the Falcons roster the same time as Kyle Pitts, Janu was the best tight end on the field. He was the best tight end on the field. And that's not good. In Kyle Pitts' perspective, that's not good. You had a journeyman, I ain't gonna say a journeyman, but you had an older guy, long in the tooth into his career, coming into a franchise where he's not even the focal point. You were the focal point. Kyle Pitts, you're the guy. We wanted Janu Smith to be a blocker or some kind of decoy. This man had twice as more touchdowns as you. That's not hard to do because you probably had one that year. But he was still the best tight end on the field. So I can't even wrap my brain when you want to, you know what I'm saying, fans don't know who you are and you getting slept on. You're not getting slept on. You're not getting slept on. Trust me, sir. You're not getting slept on. We have a thing around these parts where, we want to see consistency. Well, at least that's what I want anyway. Excuse me. I shouldn't say everybody, but consistency is key when it comes to success, in my opinion. You, sir, are the definition of inconsistency. And I can't even say inconsistency because you haven't really showed anything worth saying that you're consistent. You're consistent of not giving effort.
Consistently inconsistent. How about that?
Consistently inconsistent. And then, well, I if you want to call it that, fine. But I see a man out there who, and I got the bird's eye view of the field at the Mercedes-Benz, and I watched this man. I zero in to watch them run a route, and it's pathetic, pathetic,
Like
pathetic.
me
And
out
I'm
there,
like,
like
what?
me out there trying to run a route right now.
Exactly. Way far removed from him. Listen, fellas, we shall see. I just wanted to talk about that was a hot topic, hot take I wanted to get out there. I know you guys wanted to probably talk about that a little bit, man. Got 10 more minutes here as we wrap up the show here. So we'll go ahead and slide right on. Yeah, we'll slide, Derrico, just for you right on in to talking about another one of those teams here in the city. Let's talk about these Atlanta Hawks for a minute. And expectations, like this is hilarious to me. I'm laughing. It's not gonna take long. That's why I left it the last 10 minutes of the show, fellas. You know, we talked about expectations earlier in the show about the teams here and the expectations. Listen, I'm just gonna be just my personal opinion. This team is the most confusing and just consistently inconsistent teams that we have here in this city. Yes, we want to see championships from everybody here, but we don't know from year in and year out what we're going to get with the Hawks. What they're consistent about is being a mid-tier team. And at some point, man, you're going to have to figure out, are we going to do this over again? Or are we going to, like you said, Banks, ascend and kind of move into a place where we're not trying to dogfight our way into the freaking playoffs? We just got stomped the other night down in Orlando in the first round of the play-in. Trey gets ejected, double text. I mean, what the heck is going on? Now you in a fight for your life game against the winner of, I think, Chicago and Miami, if I'm not mistaken, to see if you can make it into the playoffs here.
They don't need they just need to shut it down. But I will say this in defense of the Hawks organization right now, they have made an attempt to hit the restart button. They made an attempt to hit the restart button by getting rid of some stuff. The only person that they really got left to really like do away with is Clint Capella contract. And I don't know where they at with that. But right now, they got the young guns out there. I think they averaging about 22, 23-year-olds as far as the core of the team. So they one of the younger teams in the NBA. But at this point, the only way that I see that they're going to really cross that threshold, they're going to get another coach, number one. They're going to have to get another GM, number two. They're going to have to figure out what they want to do with trade, number three. And number four, they're going to figure out exactly what they want to be as an organization. As far as
sound like blow it all damn up. That sound like blow it up.
That ain't none of the players.
And there's nothing wrong with that, Leo.
There's nothing wrong with that. No.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's nothing wrong with that. But like we just like we talked about, Banks, and I'm gonna kick it over to you. Like I said, I'm gonna let you have this. At some point, and to your point, Derrico, yeah, I don't think we can have patience with what we're seeing, especially with the front office and just the moves that have been made. So with that being said, though, like expectations wise, what do we do? At this point, it's just entertainment, and we should just take it for what it's worth. I mean, when everybody else comes in town, we go down there and enjoy seeing LeBron on his last hurrah, or Durant, or whoever else is the hot team, because obviously we know. But the Hawks are going to be who they are.
That's what I think. Let me let Banks. I think that's what the ownership is, mentality wise. That he is comfortable knowing that. I'll put him in a sense of he's like the Jerry Jones of the NBA right now. He is good with being mediocre as long as the bottom line, as far as his money, when he look at the receipts at the end of the night, that is still in the black. And that's what I think.
Banks, over to you, man, with the Hawks in general, man, for what it's worth, man, before we close this thing out.
Listen here, I think what you guys are saying are spot on. You talking about it starts with the owner. Okay, you had an owner who basically gaslight you the whole time he was here, saying that he has no problem going into the luxury tax, and he wants to spend with any means necessary to bring a winner here, and you're yet to do that. And how long you been an owner here? You're yet to do that. You have Trey Young. I feel so bad for this guy, man. This guy sitting here putting his all on that court, and he still doesn't have a running mate. He still doesn't have a running mate. You haven't even made an attempt to bring somebody here.
They tried, but it wasn't. I mean, They took a
You
stab at their attempt
you
to do that. They
know you
tried. They
went
told they told us that.
you went and
That's what
got
was told to us, right?
a B tier player or a C player this and call him a running mate. That's not no. Listen here. You had opportunities to go in the off season and spend some money because you have money. It's not like you're broke. You're not dead broke. You have money. Listen here. At some point, you got to do something. Because if Trey leaves, I think the asses are leaving. The seat's gonna be empty. I only think that State Farm Arena has any people in it is because of Trey Young. Okay, and it's not saying a lot because you go in State Farm, it's not like it's a big home court advantage. Well, whatever I heard that before. Um, Listen, you got to do something drastic in this franchise. I don't know. It has to be maybe bringing a top tier coach. I don't know what it is. You got to do something, but you can't keep putting out the same product, playing in these play-in rounds, thinking that they're gonna catch lightning in the bottle and make and surprise somebody. You're not surprising anybody. Okay, you about to play this game on Friday, the winner between the Bulls and the Heat, to find out who gonna get slaughtered by the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's, I mean, call it PTSD, call what you want, but all I see is it's pointless. It is pointless. You're gonna go out here, you're gonna play your all, you're gonna beat the Bulls, you're gonna beat the Heat, and then folks gonna be beating their chests, and here comes a 4-game sweep. And guess what? Season over. So we're back in the off season, the NBA, and we're trying to figure out what this Hawks team is going to be. Back at square one. So figure something out. Something drastic has to happen. I don't know. Maybe you need to strap a thing of dynamite to that team and blow it up. Start it over.
Here's the thing. Like Derrico said, that we do have a young team, so that is a positive. We did lose one of the key players in Jalen, and we also got a young, I think, in my opinion, a young big man in Ricochet. I think he'll be, I don't like making comparisons, but he's looked pretty decent. I like, the young kid, what they call him, the Great Barrier Thief, Dyson Daniels. So it's a good young core, but it's just going to have to come all together. Banks, are we there with the whole stick of dynamite? I don't know. Can we see, Derrico, you might be on to something with maybe bringing in a coach that can actually coach up the young talent. I don't know what Quinn Snyder is doing, and I think that's another thing the Hawks have failed to do is bring in quality coaching. I mean, we had Mike Budenholzer here. He couldn't put it all together, but then there was a question about talent and having the man or that piece on those teams while he was here, which we didn't have. We had talent, but not the man. But yeah, so there's some question marks around, I think, coaching. But the positive, I guess, to look at with the Hawks is that they do have some young players. Like I said, I like what I see in Ricochet. Once Clint is off the books, then maybe they can bring some more people in. I don't know. And like Banks said, stop gaslighting us in the thinking that they're going to spend money. Maybe this is the long game. Like, hey, okay, let's get all these old players off the book and then try to flip this thing and do it. I don't know what it is, but at this point, there are no expectations really coming up here once they play the winner of the Bulls and the Heat. And then if they do actually make it into that round of the playoffs, like Banks said, against the Cavaliers, and bring forth the sacrificial lamb, is pretty much how this is going to be. Fellas, look, we're at the mark. We're at the mark, fellas, man. And obviously, we'll definitely come back next week. Got a lot to talk about going into next week. I don't know if you guys are with it, but I think we'll just maybe do a whole draft breakdown, man, and what we expect going into next Thursday night. Maybe we can get this thing done and talk about what we want to see happen on next Thursday night, man. But like I said, we're at the end of the show here. As always, it has been a pleasure doing this with you guys. Banks, man, look, you're doing it big. It's coming up. You're planning the fog machine, the choreographer, the doves, the bubbles, all this stuff, man. Let everybody know first and foremost where they can find you, man, and tell everybody about the grandioso event that's happening.
And you forgot about the pyrotechnics and the trapeze flyers and everything. Yes. You find me at Antoine Jarrell Banks on Facebook, or you can hit me up on Baby Banks 80 on Instagram. Listen, fellas, it's here. It's finally here. I've been talking about these things for about a good year now. People out there in internet world, if you know me, you know that I'm gonna do it big. and you know that I spoke on it. You know, every once in a while I talk about a party that I'm having that's not really on my birthday, but it's celebrating my birthday. Um, I have an open invitation to anybody who wants to come. So just basically hit me up if you want to slide through, because it's going to be epic on many proportions. And let me tell you something. I look good in white. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I look good in white. And you guys know that week 1 on every season of the football season that comes around, I'm in what? All white.
Hey man, I don't be paying attention to your ass like that, man. But
Hey,
that's your opinion.
But that's forget you. Forget you there.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, man.
The first game of the season.
I've been doing that for years, sir. I've been doing that since I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna do it since 2016.
No, we just talking about you saying that we know that you look good in white.
Exactly.
I don't know about that. You should put a pin right
there. Derek Cole, man, let everybody know where they can find you at, man. Let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Hey, right now you can find me on Facebook at Stacey D. Derek Cole. You can find me at Snapchat at Derek Cole. DJ Carol 6 at Snapchat. IG Derek _ Virgo. And guess what? I actually got on TikTok for a minute. Black _ Virgo. That's me on TikTok.
No comment. I
ain't got back on X. I'm still off X.
I'm not going there with that TikTok thing, man.
You shouldn't say Jesus roommate.
The only reason why I went on TikTok because they said that some of our folks was offering some free classes over there about finances that I want to enroll in. So that's the only reason why I got on TikTok.
Yeah. Go ahead, clean it up. Yeah, we know why you over there on TikTok. We know why you over there on TikTok. We'll have
I can tell you this now. Hey, if you go on TikTok now, I think the Chinese giving all the secrets out. So you might want to go out there and get your secrets about all your handbags and your stuff that you can buy your wife now and not have to buy $3,000 for it. They'll tell you the truth that ain't no difference in what they produce and what they say that other people produce because they are the producers. So that means they produce everything that they lie about saying that they produce in Italy, France, everywhere else. There you go. That's a little finance nugget for y'all.
I ain't have to go over there for them to tell me that. I already know, man. I know how the sausage is made. Listen, you can catch us. The show, obviously, man, on all of our social media outlets. Also catch us streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, and also anywhere you get your podcast. We are there, man. ATL 3 style, man. Like Banks always said, like, follow, subscribe, do what you can to help us out. If you want to be on the show, hit Banks's DM up, and he'll get that information to us, and we'll bring you out on the show, man. Fellas, I got some more guests, and I know you guys have talked about bringing in some more guests. Definitely got some, so stay tuned. Got some guests coming on. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be pretty cool, man. So stay tuned for us as we're gonna roll through a whole nother year of doing what we like to do, man. Doing this Atlanta sports and culture thing, man. It's another episode of ATL 3 Style. We out.